What's up, everybody? Hope you're all doing well. Welcome back to a very special episode of CSGO News. Also, another episode coming out tomorrow, as well as videos coming out on my esports channel as well. Hope you guys all enjoy. As always, let's get right into it. And first off today, guys, in CSGO News, we have confirmed what was said in CSGO News 2 days ago by Joe Cardali. If many of you guys have not heard, he correctly interpreted tweets by both Top Play News, who actually leaked Brazilian players Showtime and SHG, who would be going to Luminosity Gaming. This has actually been reaffirmed by HLTV, who announced this, and that story was given to them, I believe, possibly by Joe Cardali himself. So congrats to him. He has actually predicted the LG lineup, and that will be this new 5-man roster complete with both Showtime and SHZ. I'm really actually particularly curious to see what SHZ does, a rising star in the Brazilian scene, but this is actually going to be his first experience on a top tier team like LG or a higher tier team than what he's used to in the past. So very curious to see how this new Brazilian lineup does in comparison to what all the other Brazilian teams are doing right now. And then absolutely huge news, especially for any of you Bulgarians out there. There's probably not many of you, but it's still really big news for CSGO teams in general that I thought it was one of the closest rosters in the field. When I say this, I thought Mortal Kombat was one of the closest rosters in the field because they've been through so much together. I always, depicted them as a team that was really close friends because they've been through organizations and lousy organizations. Back a couple months ago, it was eFrag, and they had a short stint with Orbit as well. I've talked about this in the past, guys, and they've gone through a ton of ups and downs together and still stuck together as that 5-man roster, that same 5-man roster they've had for quite some time now, even when they were away from a salary-paying organization. But all of a sudden, guys, these last few days, it has been breaking down so fast for Mortal Kombat in a very suspicious pattern. Actually, first off, it was a couple days ago, when I first heard about this story, it was their in-game leader and captain, spy leader, leaving the team, which is never a good sign. When you have your in-game leader, your actual team captain leaving the team, it's never a good sign. But people thought, you know what, no big of a deal. Then it was just yesterday, a second member who is also known as Bubbly has also left, which is definitely not looking good, because especially when you're looking at a Bulgarian roster, there aren't too many Bulgarian CS players out there that are this tier of Mortal Kombat, especially this past month or so. We had them in the ESEA Premier Global Challenge, other tournaments as well, where they've shown up and done quite well against these North American teams, these second or third tier teams as well. They're definitely not a top professional team, but for a Bulgarian roster, you don't find talent like this very often. And then today, I was actually playing this story yesterday, and all of a sudden today as well, another third member of Mortal Kombat, that is Victor, has also left the team. So again, a really heavy defeat here for Mortal Kombat. This has to be almost probability here that they're probably going to be disbanding soon. You don't really lose, especially over half your roster, and don't consider disband. It's almost identical to the situation we had with Winterfox just a month and a half ago. I believe it was Anger, XP3, and Flowsick who all left that Winterfox lineup out of nowhere in a span of about 24 to 48 hours. Same thing here with Mortal Kombat, and eventually it was just Lex and Hades left in that Winterfox lineup, and everyone thought, oh, maybe Winterfox will get 3 new players, but no, they are now in that inactive roster. They've been replaced by those 5 new players, the Australian lineup now, and there's New Zealand-Australian mix there. So almost an exact same situation here with Mortal Kombat. I don't think I'm going to assume they're going to pick up 3 new Bulgarian players and remain a Bulgarian majority team. Who knows what's going to happen in Mortal Kombat? A really kind of defeating story here, because I thought really Mortal Kombat, one of those teams, especially in these coming months, has showed true potential, especially for a team that no one really knew about a few months ago. So very sad story there. But speaking of Winterfox, so first off, guys, to set the scene, this is for a North American Open qualifier for the last spot in the closed qualifier for E-League Season 2. So over the course of the last 3 days, we had 3 North American Open qualifiers. The winner of each of these individually would fill those last 3 spots for the closed qualifier going on very soon as well. Now, first off, it was Winterfox in this last matchup. It was just last night, actually. They were matched up against an unknown North American team who goes by the name that I can only describe as No Wife, No Life. I don't know how exactly to pronounce their name, and ended up actually losing to these guys, but apparently found out later on that No Wife, No Life, this team, this unknown North American team, had also not recorded their VODs or their playbacks for admins to actually review after being accused of cheating. Now, this is against the tournament rules, and for most qualifiers, you have to record your own match play, for obvious reasons. Now, this also was found out, and a bunch of people were accusing this team throughout all the qualifiers of cheating, and apparently it also came down to a DQ not only being handed out to the No Wife, No Life team who had not recorded their VODs and strictly, gone against those rules, but it also results in a temporary DQ of the Winterfox lineup. Now, obviously, this blew up on Reddit, blew up on HLTV, whatever it may be, and then apparently Winterfox had to actually go personally to these admins and personally appeal to this forfeit or this DQ. and show clear evidence of how these teams are cheating. So they had to convince the admins of this overall qualifier that their opponents were cheating, even though everyone watching, it was apparent. It was very obvious throughout not only this qualifying match, but through other ones as well. These teams participated, this team in particular, No Wife, No Life, participated in multiple events and multiple matches by doing this, and they were then caught during this Winterfox match. Eventually, though, everyone thought that Winterfox was kicked out. They were DQ'd. They eventually were able to appeal that ban and that DQ. They were able to actually go back and play the game, a rematch against Settle, and they lost that match to an Oceanic team known as Settle. So now the problem here does not lie with Winterfox and their lineup. Obviously, they went on to lose to Settle Gaming. Settle then went on to lose to Pain Gaming, and Pain Gaming went on to lose to E United. E United actually took that final qualifying spot for E-League Season 2 closed qualifier. We're getting so close to Season 2 sometime soon and finishing up our teams, at least for this North American qualifier. The main problem here is, though, it shows the amateurness that goes into these North American open qualifiers. When they say open qualifiers, it's pretty open to anybody, and it's also very open when it comes to the admins not being able to spot a cheating team when it's very blatantly obvious. That's where the problem lies, guys. Very unfortunate here, though, for Winterfox lineup. Honestly, a team that, not necessarily everyone thought they were a North American team. By the way, I was right. They're still in North American qualifiers, even though they're an Australian and New Zealand lineup. But the real struggle here is a Winterfox lineup that once was at least in the top 20 North American teams is now in these open qualifiers and losing to teams like Subtle, Pain, E United, even teams that are worse than that. That's where the real struggle is. And some other CSGO news, guys. We have the Mousesports coach Kassad. He has now officially left the team as of today. Kind of a really devastating statement here because they say they part on good terms. Obviously, we're probably going to assume that this is actually because the new coaching rules coming in, that Mousesports maybe doesn't need a coach. It doesn't sound like they're going to hire a new one, and that makes total sense for future events where they're not going to need that coaching role. We're going to be really curious to see who takes over that in-game leader role, specifically what Kassad was previously actually taking over for the team. So Kassad also made sure to mention their paths are going differently in esports. So we're really going to be interested to see if Kassad is trying to coach some other team or what other role in esports he'll take on. But yes, Mousesports has now dropped their coach. Will more teams announce this in the future? I really don't know. We had Fnatic announce their new coach. So teams are really going both ways in these rules right now, and if they're going to be enforced will be the really curious thing in the future. And I absolutely love being in tournament season for CSGO, which is almost all year round, but especially as of right now, guys, as I can announce a new CSGO event every single weekend. This upcoming weekend, guys, in a few days, will be the first official DreamHack event in a long time that we've had, and quite some time actually, and that will be DreamHack Bucharest. I probably butchered the talk and the name of that, but it would be very exciting news, guys, as well as the host for the event. We have some really good talent for this DreamHack event. As many of you guys know, this past weekend we had the Star Ladder event do very, very well. I think it broke around 300,000 viewers, at least close to on Twitch, which is very good, especially because we have events every single week. But some good talent. First off, one of the analysts will be Sponge. Really cool to see him coming back and still being maintained on the scene and having a job and a potential role on the scene permanently as he's coming back to more and more events. We also have Yanko, some of the new commentators coming from Room on Fire. As many of you guys know, one of their newest members was Yanko, as well as Anders, of course, one of the greatest commentators there, and one of their newest members as well. Besides Yanko will be Metis. And excitingly, very excitingly for me, guys, we also had the return of Sato Kiss and Henry G. This past weekend in Star Ladder, they dominated that event. They killed it. They received a lot of good community feedback, so they'll all be there, guys. So some great talent, not only analyst-wise, but also hopefully some very great North American teams and European teams in general. Now, surprisingly, though, I say that the only North American team, again, back-to-back weekends here, like Star Ladder, the only North American team to participate in this tournament will be Cloud9. So it's going to be interesting to see how they do. They actually made it to the semifinals of last weekend in Star Ladder. Going to be curious to see how they do against the other 7 teams, which will be Virtus Pro, Heroic, Envious, Gambit Gaming, Dignitas, FaZe Clan, and Flipside. I'm going to actually have predictions for all of you guys on these group stages tomorrow because these teams are all very level, very evenly spread out across each other. As if you guys watched Star Ladder this last week, I know I mentioned a lot. That was one of the closest tournaments we've had in a long time. Although there were a lot of 2-0 sweeps out of group stages, a lot of surprises. So I would expect, nonetheless, more surprises here this weekend, guys. Very excited for this DreamHack event. As always, hope you guys enjoy this episode of CSGO News. I'm going to start working on the scripts for tomorrow's episode. Hope you all enjoy that one. It should be a longer episode as well tomorrow for CSGO News. A lot of great stories you guys have not heard about quite yet, but also one last story for all of you guys. I'm going to leave it up to you. I'm not going to expose this last story because it always goes wrong for me like it has in the past, but that is a potential $7,000 scam by the website known as CSGOStrong. Now, I'm going to link you guys down below. Always down below, guys, are time markers. Now, down below on this last time marker called CSGOStrong scam, there will be a link to a video explaining this scam. I'm not going to cover it unless you guys think I should, but I really want to, just bring this to attention, guys. These websites, they have the power to scam people and not face repercussions for it because of all these tiny tidbit rules they have on their websites. Please be careful, guys, especially when you're betting large amounts like this guy did. A potential $7,000 scam by CSGOStrong. Now, I'm not sure the evidence is very conclusive, but we can all assume that it's definitely, probably somewhat accurate and has happened more than once before. So I'm going to link you guys down below to that video down below. Hope you guys all enjoy. As always, live, love, laugh a lot. Remember, I like you. I will see you guys all on my esports channel today as well. I have multiple videos coming out this week. It's going to be a hectic week, but hope you guys all enjoy. Remember, my name is Jake. I like you. I'll see you all next time. Goodbye.